Sydney photographer Jonathan May has spent the last 6 months living and working in Africa. He's been focusing on a large documentary project which has allowed him to travel around the African continent, capturing images of life there. May's work has been selected by Head On as a finalist for its Portrait Prize, and he joins me now to discuss a few highlights from his work. Jonathan May, why first did you decide to head to Africa?
To be honest, there was never any real desire to actually visit Africa. I was living in Europe, and I actually met a guy who was working in security and technology for East Africa, and basically started commissioning me to go over there to work for them ever since, to places like Mauritania, Burkina Faso, the Ivory Coast, Botswana, Tanzania, and in Kenya more recently for the past 6 months.
So you find yourself in Africa. One of the first images I want to talk about is this photo, we'll bring it up on the screen, of a little boy who's got a dog. He looks horribly disfigured in some way. Tell me about this image.
This boy was actually, I found him, his name's Stanford, and I found him at a refugee camp. His story is that back in 2007 with the post-election violence, he was actually forced to live on this IDP camp, and he was previously visually impaired, but he was also diagnosed with a rare skin condition that made him sensitive to the sun. So yeah, I've started a charity over there, and the object is to sort of gain recognition and sort of, you know, help this boy.
So you found a personal connection to one of your subjects. How challenging was it to be confronted by so much poverty and suffering? You would have photographed many people. You can't help everybody. So how do you decide to help one person?
I think it sort of just found me. When I first arrived there, I was sort of trying to help everyone left, right and centre, and you sort of realise that there's a lot of life going on there, and a lot of people sort of living and sort of just enjoying life. But this one boy I sort of actually found at a blind school, and I went to visit him at the refugee camp.
In Africa, we often see images of malnourished children or women who've suffered, been subjected to violence. Now, there's another image here. It's a picture of a man. Caught me. He's lying. He's reclining on a stretcher, and this is an image that is sort of quite different. He looks, you know, super relaxed there. Did you deliberately seek out portraits like that? Tell me his story.
Yeah, I think well, this was actually taken in Mauritania, and he was our driver, ex-military man, sort of looking after us, because in that area there's quite a lot of kidnappings with Al-Qaeda.
He looks anything but military there.
Yeah, well, I think it took us about 3 or 4 days to realise that he was military, and this was one sort of very rare moment where he finally relaxed after 3,000 kilometres on the trip, and I was luckily enough able there to sort of photograph him.
To capture that moment. Another image, there are camels in the back of a ute, which we'll bring up on screen as well. I wouldn't say that that's something that a camel on the back of a Toyota ute is something that you see every day.
Certainly not in Australia anyway, but in Mauritania and places like that near the Sahara, I think there's a lot of camels, and it's something that you do see very often, but you know, it certainly caught my eye.
So you had to be, you know, just poised, ready to take an image that was there in front of you. You weren't always, you know, staging or setting up these portraitures.
Yeah, definitely. It was sort of just reportage photography, social documentary. So, you know, I didn't really have a chance to sort of set up these images. It was sort of just capture them as you see it.
And often a simple image can tell a great story. There's an image of a girl in a pink dress, but she's actually holding a machete in her hand, you know.
Yeah, I think this image sort of just came by chance. Actually, I was driving down the road 100 kilometres an hour in a place called Rift Valley, and something just told me to stop. I sort of looked up and saw this sort of little hut in the background on the hill, and I sort of just stopped and ran up the hill and sort of started photographing this landscape scene, and all of a sudden this girl just came out of nowhere and sort of wanted to be photographed, and holding that machete, I didn't have anything to do but oblige.
You didn't, yeah, I was going to say, were you ever able to establish why she had the machete in her hand?
No, I sort of didn't really get there. I sort of just
asked no questions.
Yeah, and left.
There's been a lot of controversy in recent days about manipulation of photos. There was the winner of a World Press Photo of the Year competition, and there had been some discussion. It was a photograph taken in the Middle East. Some discussion about whether or not this photograph had been manipulated in any way. How cautious do you as a photographer have to be about manipulating the truth, so to speak?
I think it really depends on the area of photography that you're working in. I think if you're in press, you know, you have an obligation to sort of show it how you've captured it, but I think if you're working in fine art, I think there's a bit of creative license to sort of change images if you wish. You know, a lot of the images that I take are all sort of social documentary, sort of reportage photography, so I'm capturing it how you see it, but I do know that, you know, in this day and age with Photoshop, everyone's sort of tweaking images and working on them.
Well, Jonathan May, you're a finalist in the prestigious National Head-On Photo Festival Portrait Prize. Best of luck to you. Thanks for joining us this afternoon.
Thank you very much. Thank you.